Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show. You know, the Autobots have a bunch of different characters in their ranks. Some may be more memorable than the others. Sometimes you might question why certain ones get multiple versions. But this one that we're going to look at today is a character named Brawn. You might remember him from the first two seasons of the animated TV show. You might remember him as dying pretty quickly in the '86 movie. Well, today we're going to look at two versions of Brawn and see if we can't figure out which version is better.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
If you have watched my channel before, you know how it goes on which is better. But for those who are new here, hey, welcome. But round one is about me looking at these figures and figuring out which one has the better paintwork and overall appearance. Now, quite honestly, when I look at these two figures, they both more or less look like Brawn from Transformers. I mean, how hard is it to make a little green car? But looking at them in vehicle mode first, we do see that there are some differences. First off, let's look at our Titans Return one. He is a very dark green, and you got these little arm pieces here that I guess could be like a step up into the car or something. The back of the vehicle mode looks a little disjointed. There are some peg holes here, and you know, it looks okay. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's bad, but it does look okay. When I look at our Studio Series 86 Brawn, I see that like navy kind of olive green that I think of when I think of the original G1 Brawn. I really like how he has windows all around the vehicle that are painted, where this one really just has the windows painted in the front, although clearly there are supposed to be windows here that haven't been painted. I like how you see like the detail on the back of the figure, but this really just has like an engine piece, something I don't even know what to call it, thrusters. But this one looks pretty cool in vehicle mode, and I think the way I'm going to do this is I will award 2 points to the better Brawn in this round. So round one for vehicle mode, we're going to give it to our Studio Series Brawn. Let's transform him real quick and decide which one has the better paint and overall appearance in robot mode. And here are my two Brawn figures in robot mode, complete with their accessories. And although the color does play a factor into this one, the Studio Series one definitely more of that G1 toy and character design look. It also has a couple other things that I really like. Namely, it's got this nice big, like, behind the head plate that we know the character had in the series, in the cartoon series. My Titans Return one, yeah, there is a little piece behind the head, but it's very tiny, and it doesn't look as grand as this one. The other thing too, and this is a restriction from the size class, this robot is very blocky. Like the hands just look like blocks to me, which again, it is part of the size class, but this one has like nice proper hands, and of course in transformation, they do get folded away. So just, you know, looking at the proportions, looking at the color, looking at the head crest, I don't know what to call it, our Studio Series Brawn is going to take round one. Round two is about articulation, and the articulation on these figures, though small, is pretty impressive. Looking at the Titans Return one, you know, figure is a number of years old now. It still has pretty decent articulation. The head on this one, it does move very slightly, but it's kind of hard to get a grip on it. So it does have head articulation. Nothing at the waist or body, but the shoulders, because of transformation, can go up and down quite a bit, which can help you kind of pose out the figure. Arms go completely around. The shoulders also go in and out, and you can get them to go, you know, even more out because of that transformation joint. We have a ball joint here at the elbow, so we do get full 90-degree bend, but then the arm can spin around, move around, you can get into different positions. As I said, nothing at the waist. At the legs, the figure does have thigh rotation. That needs to be said. It does, because of transformation, have knee rotation or knee bend, and it can go all the way up to its back. There is a little bit of foot articulation in that there is a heel spur that maybe you could get it in some kind of like bent leg positions like I have there. And then also at the thigh, aside from the rotation, because of the way it's connected to the robot itself, you get in, out, up, down. So pretty decent articulation for such a little figure. You know, sometimes the smaller Transformer is the less of articulation it has, but this one is actually pretty good. looking at my Studio Series, he does have head articulation a little easier to move. As a matter of fact, because of transformation, this whole piece comes out, so you can easily get to his head, which is a nice nice bit of transformation workage. What's the right word there? In terms of shoulders, it is on a ball joint here, so it goes in and out, and it goes all the way around, so very similar to this one. In terms of elbow, we have a little more, significantly more than 90 degrees worth of bend, and it does also have a rotation there, actually right above the elbow, so right underneath the shoulder it bends. He does have waist articulation. His backpack kind of gets in the way a little bit, so if you depending how you have it, when you turn his legs, his waist, this might move a little bit, but again, not the end of the world. It doesn't really move that much. In terms of legs, in and out, back and forth, thigh rotation, knee bend, not as much as our Titans Return one, but the thing that this one has that the Titans Return one doesn't have, you can bend his ankle back, just like the Titans Return one, but you can also get that ankle pivot in there. So, you know, because of the ankle pivot, because of the rotation down here at the waist, I got to give my Studio Series one just a little bit of extra room in there to say that it has won round 2. My third round is about the accessories that these figures come with, and quite honestly, my Titans Return one doesn't come with a lot, but there is this piece. It was the back piece of the vehicle mode, and it does peg onto the arm to act as almost a shield or a blaster. He can also hold it in his hand to be a blaster. And this is kind of a cool way to incorporate some vehicle mode kibble as a weapon. I especially like putting it on here as like a shield. It almost looks like a robotic tiny Captain America. But it is neat. Now, it's not the most convincing blaster. You know, while these look like they could be blast ports or whatever, it does look more like a shield, and just kind of like you've thrown something from his vehicle mode onto the robot mode. The other thing that he has that I do like is the play pattern for Titans Return was that you could fit the little headmasters, the Titan Masters, inside of the some of these Legend class vehicles. In fact, I think almost all the figures across the line. And this was cool that you could have a Titan Master inside of him. There is a Titan Master Brawn that was just a head that came with like a little vehicle when that was what they were doing with this line. So you could kind of have a Brawn inside of a Brawn, which I always thought was neat. But yeah, so like his accessory is really just this shield blaster thing. Studio Series Brawn's accessory is this pistol, this blaster, and it is a decent looking little blaster. I mean, he's a mini bot. What really more do you want him to come with? It does everything you would expect the blaster to do. I will say, he also has this spare tire that does come off. I don't know if there's a purpose for this to come off. You know, he can kind of hold this like a shield, as if the Titans Return one had like a shield to it. I will say you can combine the weapons. I'm gonna put Brawn down for a second, like this. I don't know if this is supposed to be like the Evo fusion gimmick that's going around. Like, is it a radar dish now? I don't think that's the purpose. It doesn't really fit in his hand that way. But he can hold it to have like a larger blaster. I don't really know what if that's just me trying to look for something. Of course, when you take the spare tire off, it does leave quite a large hole in Brawn's back. So let me just reconnect that so we don't have quite as a unsightly hole there. That looks better like that, in my opinion. So really, let's ask ourselves which one has the better weapon. All right, so they're both back together, and the accessory thing, this is a weird one for me in this game of which is better, because quite honestly, like, yeah, I prefer there to be a traditional blaster. It is just a plain little blaster, though. The little shield blaster, it's really cool. If it was executed a little better, if these were able to look a little more like blaster ports or something, that might have won. This is a very close one for me, because I like little gimmicks like this. So it is very close, but I gotta say that our Studio Series 1 version of Brawn wins for having just a better blaster. As per usual, my fourth round is about price and availability. Now, honestly, the Titans Return one, when it came out, it was under $10. Right now, if you want to find one open, you're looking at about $7. I've seen some ones in the box still go for as high as $20. The average for this Titans Return version seems to be $12 to $13. So that's about what a core class figure is going for these days. Not terrible. This Studio Series Brawn cost me $25. I sometimes question if the mini-bots that are now being upscaled to a deluxe class are worth that much. You know, it is definitely a higher price point than I definitely want to pay. I don't buy as many Transformers as I used to, so really it's not the end of the world right now, but he's sold out on Hasbro Pulse right now. I'm not sure if he's going to be available, or if he is sold out at other retailers like Big Bad Toy Store, TF Stores, or Amazon. So right now, if you don't have a Brawn, this one might be the easiest one to get. So my Titans Return one wins round 4. Alright, the 5th and final round on which is better is a display compatibility round. And I have some other figures currently set up with these too, to illustrate a point. You know, I've been collecting Transformers long enough where I've had to rebuy characters. Brawn is definitely a case of this. Now, there has been a trend in Hasbro recently to take these the original mini-bots, and upscale them to some really nice, well-articulated, and good-looking characters. This Studio Series Brawn actually works very well with the War for Cybertron Bumblebee. This was the Walmart one. And the Kingdom Huffer. This Huffer, by the way, one of my favorite figures that they've done. This thing looks great. But, you know, this Titans Return one is next to Windcharger and Gears from around the same time. This may have been Power of the Primes or something like that, or Combiner Wars. But that's, you know, what these ones look like. They really do scale well together, as Brawn does scale well with our current deluxe ones. Here's the thing, it's really a matter of what are you going for in your display. For me, I like to have the most G1 animation accurate version of characters on my shelf. It doesn't always end up being 100% accurate, but it's, you know, the best that I feel like I'm getting. Looking at these versions of Brawn, really, I like the way that this one scales with the other upscaled mini-bots. You know, they're not super complicated. They look very individualistic. And so far, there haven't been that many there have been some repaints, but not many. I feel like a lot of these smaller ones got repainted a number of times. And just looking at this, they don't move as well. You know, they're very limited because they're so small, where these do move better. Now, it might be some time before I get Windcharger and Gears, so they're going to be standing in on my shelf. But having these updated versions of Huffer and Bumblebee and Brawn really do, I feel like, make my display look better. So round 5, my display compatibility is going to the Studio Series Brawn. And just to show that every edition of Which is Better doesn't need to end with some figure beheading another figure, here's a little shot of peace. Now, yes, Studio Series Brawn definitely has won out on this battle, winning at a 4-1 score. But that doesn't mean the Titans Return one is a bad figure. In fact, if we never got this Studio Series Brawn, I'd still be pretty happy with this version of Brawn. He isn't bad. This just has some nice improvements to it. So with that said, let me know in the comments, what do you think of these Brawn figures? Do you have a favorite? Let me know, and until next time, I've been Dan, you've been pretty awesome, those have been some Brawns, and I'll see you next time.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.